For that in prison, make sure I get it back. Yeah, you're gonna get it back, motherfucker. Times a million billion. These are some of those things I got that shop at Poplar Bluff Hospital. Just happen to be outside, and you can read this book and bring it back. Okay, I'm gonna get that out of there because I can't think about that right now. Yay! Honeymoon is over. Your best life now. Through the gates of splendor, light from my path. It was long in 2000 BC. Whoa, there's them war maps. I forgot I be sticking stuff in places and be treasures everywhere. And these motherfuckers want to keep taking my shit. Like, what the fuck? Why? Don't approach me if you're a ratchet motherfucker. Yeah, I was already on the page, duh. New Zealand's best three kings, Black Thursday. The date of the crash of the New York stock market that marked the onset of the Great Depression. Black Watch, the name of a famous Highland regiment of the British Army. 1704. Derived from their distinctive, very dark tartan. The two battalions known as 42nd and 73rd Foot in 1881. Blackwater Fever. Yeah. Messianic Mourettes. Black Zionism. That's what Dr. King was saying. Pussies everywhere. African Americans and West Indians who looked to Africa as a land from which their ancestors came as slaves. To them, Africa is held in reverence, Black history is held in pride, and there is a desire to return to the land of their forefathers. To them, Africa is held in reverence, a land from which their ancestors came as slaves. So they were brought there from Kingwell Swamp, 6 counties, Missouri, southeast, the whole boot iced out in this bitch. Think y'all gonna bust the levees all down to... Tell you what, tell you like this. Think y'all gonna bust the levees all down to... Tell you what, tell you like this. Y'all run that little river, biggest one in the world, all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. Why the fuck y'all kill Malcolm's grandson down there, you simple bitches? Ooh, y'all should have looked at the last page in the Bible before y'all start making decisions like that there. Yeah. Because, see, Malcolm, he ain't alone. Never no more will ever be. Never was. His daddy came to tell you this. My grandkids, I really told my Bible up. 2:21. Those who come, come. And those who don't, don't. You heard Dr. King and him. They both said it.
Let him come. Whoever will, let him come.
Am I going to try and infiltrate their organization and win over some of their supporters? No, I have never tried to win supporters from Elijah Muhammad. Since I have left the Black Muslim movement, I've spoken at these rallies. Those who come, come. Those who don't, don't. But I've never gone out of my way to win over any of his followers. And he himself is fearful because he knows that You don't have to exercise too much energy to win his followers. As soon as they know truth and compare the two, and by the way, this is the brother, I didn't even see you there, brother, who was Cassius Clay's secretary, whom they beat unmercifully up in Boston. And the court freed the men who beat him. They fined him $100, was it? Yeah, fined him $100. And he was on the inside of the black Muslim specialty squad. And I know it. And it was he who heard Elijah Muhammad Jr. come to New York when Elijah Muhammad was at the Armory in June of last year. Junior stood up and told the fruit, many of whom are here now also, that I should have been killed, that my tongue should have been put in an envelope and sent back to Chicago by now. But I just want them to hear what you're asking me. That's all. I just want them to hear what you're asking me. You wouldn't get no trouble in here, would he? Flesh. They would cut his head off if he said that over there. I mean, he knows this. None of his followers can go over there without denouncing him. It's impossible for them to go to Mecca or any other place unless they ascribe to Islam as it is ascribed to over there. So he was in a position to unite us with the Muslim world, those of us who are Muslims. He was also in a position to unite us with Africa. It means that we want to stop begging you for your school. We want you to get out of the way and let us straighten out the schools in Holland. Yes, sir.
I'd like to clarify this quote here. You said from tonight on there will be a hot time in your own town. Could you elaborate on that?
I just answered it when I said from tonight on there'll be a hot time in the old town. I answered it when this gentleman over here asked. It's a song that we used to sing. An implication, an implied threat. I never imply any threats to anyone.
If there is a threat, and assuming they hurt you or anything, don't you think that some of your followers might want to retaliate?
Listen to this question this man asked me. Last question. What are you trying to get at? No, he asked me, look, now I got to tell him what you asked me. He asked me, don't I think if I got hurt, wouldn't some of my followers retaliate? What are you trying to say? Or what are you trying to get me to say? I mean, it's okay. I'm not going to get you in any trouble. These are your friends in here. But I just want them to hear what you're asking me. That's all. I just want them to hear what you're asking me. You wouldn't get no trouble in here, would he? And that was in the front part.
The Muslims claim that you bomb your own house.
That's what I said. Last question. That's what I said. The Muslims claim I bombed my house. And if anybody can find where I bombed my house, they can put a rifle bullet through my head. It was my children and my own life and my wife's life that was at stake. You know what what temperature was? It was about 15 or 20. I stood in my underwear, bare feet, in the middle of my driveway with a gun in my hand for 45 minutes, waiting for the police or waiting for the fire department to come. If I want to put on a show, I can find a better way than that to put it on. And if you attack me, that's one thing. I know what to do when you start attacking me. But when you attack sleeping babies while you are lower than a guy...
Hello, Mark. Thank you. Do you mind if I ask you some questions for an interview?
Brief of drop as
As light.
just
Okay, thank you. What is your favorite song?
not Please.
And the knowledge.
And that was in the front part.
But what's...
The Muslims claim that you bombed your own house.
That's what I said. Last question.
And I said, I don't fuck around when I come. Choppers in the van when I come. I'll beat that pussy down when I come.
Than the American Revolution.
221.
Become involved in a revolution that won't take bloodshed. All she's got to do is give the black man in this country everything that's doing. Everything. I hope that the white man can see this, because if you don't see it, you're finished. If you don't see it, you're going to become involved in some action in which you don't have a chance. And we don't care anything about your atomic bomb. It's useless.
Yeah, that smoke. Oh, is that right? And one of his servants said, None, my lord, O king, but Elijah, the prophet that is in Israel, telleth the king of Israel the words that thou speakest in thy bedchamber. And he said, Go and spy where he is, that I may send and fetch him. And it was told him, saying, Behold, he is in Dothan. You know, Gideon...
You know anything about carpentry?
Jesus was a carpenter.
Hey, you can help me put a floor?
Yeah.
I mean, I know how to do it.
I want to go over there for real because there's a lot of secrets over there. Gideon.
What do you want to know?
Everything. All that fucked up shit they had going on, battles of Gideon in the Bible, it was really in Gideon.
I can probably tell you.
Beach, Wrightsville, Hollywood Plantation, Headlight Plantation, all that shit, and that fucked up shit.
You know that place where the old Fletcher's gin office is?
No, but I'm on Fletcher's ass. I'm on Fletcher. I'm on.
To die.
But not that Fletcher. This Prouty Fletcher was a CIA operative that had King killed, but I need to go over there and go for a tour. I need to get me a phone, my documentary. I got so much shit, man. When I put it all together, y'all gonna hear about me.
You want to hear a secret? I'll tell you, that guy that owns the Fletcher's gin, he used to still have slaves back when it was illegal, and he hit them.
Fletcher?
Rich motherfucker. And now, to entertain his own fucking sick twisted thoughts, he buys these glass houses. They're like $5,000 a piece, and they're only like that big, to $10,000, and they're made by David Frost.
Oh my God!
Remind him of
Only I said the chickens came home to
Oh
roost,
my God!
which means the same thing. But you
What's
did
his
not
name?
say that you were glad the president.
Jack Fletcher.
No, that's what the press said.
God damn.
A couple days later,
I believe you. I know 100% what you're saying. That's the shit I'm on right there. The exact shit you just talked about is exactly what I'm at.
You know, be allowed to come
And
to Savior's Day.
because you know what?
Speak, and this would
They
be
got
a
some
period
shit
of
coming next year that we ain't gonna fucking live through.
He's ready to join publicly.
So where is that place at, is that?
right outside of you know where you go
By the airport? Yeah.
Okay, well, as soon as you come out of Gideon, you make that curve.
And if it wasn't for Elijah Muhammad,
Where he's given a prominent, place in the program.
This is a golden
Oh, I'll tell you, Homestown. I'll show you.
by the Islamic Council of all Egypt.
Malcolm isn't invited. Malcolm isn't asked.
Made by David Frost.
I'll show you some shit on my phone in Homestown, that cemetery. Oh shit! Oh my God! Oh my God! That's all I can say about this. Oh my God! Where at Fletcher's?
Yeah.
Yo, God said put a date on it, and in the background is Fletcher. At the bottom of the globe, of the earth, instead of Wardell, Wardell and Ross School, instead of it being that, it's Waddell Sea and Ross Sea at the bottom of the globe. That's why it's Wardell. And that's why next year they're planning on blowing the levees from here all the way to Louisiana, because I don't want the swamps no more. I got documents on it to Trump and to trial in Memphis. They testified about it. Cause for worry. That's why I'm out here. And you know what? They said instead of using explosives to blow the levees, they're going to use ammonium nitrates. That's funny. That's funny as hell. Cold packs.
Well, ammonium nitrate is the main ingredient in nitroglycerin. So.
Yeah, but using a meth ingredient to blow some levees at Bird's Point.
Kind of twisted down.
Yeah, because I went down that quicksand before. It was scary. But that Gideon, real Gideon battles of the Bible, it was really in Gideon. See, Portersville, where Haunted Woods is, it used to be called Weaverville. And from Portersville to Gideon, that road was called Old Pole Road, and it was made out of logs.
Yeah,
and,
logging road.
Yeah, and they said one day while all these people were in the bar in Gideon back in the day, that some army came in there and burnt the whole town down.
It's true. That is true.
Yeah, because it's right here. Real talk. So this Jack Fletcher. And you know that fucking Walker story, that fucking murder on the floodways? Oh, god damn it, I opened that book.
Murder on the floodways.
I opened that motherfucking book. He in the door then. Yeah. Therefore, send he thither, horses and chariots, and a great host, and they came by night, and compassed the city about. And when the servant of the man of God was risen early, and gone forth, behold, an host compassed the city, both with horses and chariots. And the servant said unto him, Alas, my master, how shall we do? Would? And he answered, Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. Yeah. I swear to God. Guys, little 3 drops. Show you about it. Dopey, baby Jesus. Never see the humble one again. What y'all little sinners sin. It's not a mystery no more. Nope. Well, I just want you to see what you meant to me. Trying to get that monkey off her back. Shit fucked up. You don't know how I feel when my nigga got that monkey on his back. That Rose Club and the supper to be your last one. Three drops. The golden rule is what I'm looking for. There we go. There's a little. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. 3 needles. 4.
I saw live and laid out on side his Benz with all our friends dead too. Everybody dead. Yeah, Jasmine Fudge like everybody dead. The whole car dead. Ace dead, Josh dead. That shit real talk. Yeah, I saw live and laid out on side his Benz with all our friends dead too. Trash. Everybody dead. Yeah. Turned on the TV today. They say turned on the TV today. They say my main dead from gunshot, shot up in his casket. Yeah. Turned on the TV and my boy Bleak was shot up in his brand new caddy, man. Only Ivy birthday, huh, bro? That'll hurt you, huh? I was calling home to tell my girl Nita to go by the Ivy mama. It was his birthday to take us some money. She said she was on the murder scene. My best friend just got killed. Crazy, huh? Your purpose is murder, you pussy bitches. I hate you with all of my heart. I hate how you look in them suits. I hate how you walk in them boots. I hate your whole family, bitch. You ain't no grown man, you a bitch. I hope that your daughter, she sucking the blackest of dicks. Bitches got me mad and I'm turned up. They do it in your city, fucking burn it up. Don't stop, man, run, better get the fuck. Like Tip say, man, it's either them or us. Tell me this while you shoot that man. Bleak mode.
217 backwards, huh? The golden rule carries a broad meaning of friendship among men the world around. Men of different color, different nationality, different ages, and different walks of life are neighbors. Daddy King never did fuck with them neighbors. Hey, I used to have a fucking teacher named that. The practice of the golden rule results in benefits expressed by peace with God, peace with fellow man, and peace with oneself. With peace, we realize development in industry, education, literature, science, art, music. Bottom line numbers, you know what I'm saying? You know what the king gotta say.
I learned my basic business structures from the street, which I then implemented in the music business. Now I take them same tactics and do in this business or real estate. All that is the same business structure, you know, bottom line numbers. You know what I mean? The best sense is common sense. You can't tell me no shit that don't make sense to me. I already know this shit impossible, not true, or can't be done. So I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Bottom line numbers. Is that word? What do you say?
It's rare, Doctor, that we get a chance to see you.
Well, he makes it clear, sometimes consciously and sometimes unconsciously, that he is the pastor.
Right.
And I'm the co-pastor.
What do you think was the most important? I mean, a son obviously comes to his father many times, and a father, as his son's growing up, gives him advice, counsel. And your son was an assistant pastor with you for a time, I know. A co-pastor. Yeah. At Ebenezer Baptist in Atlanta. And, what do you think is the greatest counsel, the most important counsel that you passed on to your son? Stay tuned for Turning Point.
It has been said each person in his lifetime reaches a turning point. Our purpose is to present some of these through our host, Bill Turpey.
Good morning. Welcome to Turning Point. Our guest this morning is Dr. Martin Luther King, Sr. Dr. King, you're in town for a series of meetings at Concord Baptist Church, and your son authored a book called Stride Toward Freedom. What kind of strides do you think have been made since the death of your son, a death that we all regret, toward freedom in our country? What gives you a sense of the fact that we are moving somewhere?
Well, as I travel all over America, I do see some signs of acceptance of brotherhood. I'm on record as preaching every man's brother. I'm serious about it. I am every man's brother. I hope every man is my brother. I think our world is in desperate need of going on practicing brotherhood, world brotherhood. To brother, to every man. And I think this is moving in that direction. I see some signs of acceptance.
Dr. King, what about and maybe it's wrong to do this at this point, but the death of your son, a death that we all regret. What about in terms of your son and his life and his death? Many people say that his death occurred had it not been for his death. How do you see that?
Well, this is hard to say. Of course, we've got to always remember that we've got hundreds of little governments in the Deep South that's done nothing. They have accepted any part of the civil rights package, anything. They just still segregated. We know this. And there is a breakthrough, though, even in these areas. But it's just got to continue to work after it. So I think that today is really more actual acceptance and freedom in the South than we have in the North right now.
A lot of tragedy has occurred in your life recently, the death of two sons.
Right. You see, the North has been segregated all the time, but it's been more subtle. The South, we knew where it was. In the North, in many instances, we didn't know until we were told. So this has been different, and this has been a great deal of difference, too, I think.
What about in terms of your son and his life and his death? Of course, many people say that he contributed more in his life toward a great many things happening in this country to provide an openness, to provide a breakdown of racism. But also many people say that his death provided a tremendous opening that might not have occurred had it not been for his death. How do you see that?
Well, this is hard to say. It's hard to say, maybe so. We know that he isn't dead. I would never, I don't, first of all, I don't believe in death, dying, as far as I'm concerned. He isn't dead. His ideals will live, they are living, they will continue to live. And I think much is being done in his death. But now whether or not more is being accomplished in his death than in his life, I can't quite say, because it still remains to be seen what impact he would have had if he had been able to carry on.
That's always a question that...
Yeah.
But of course you can't...
It's a debatable question, you know. And it's pretty hard to say.
I imagine there are a lot of ifs that torment you at times.
Right. And I stay out of the whys as much as I can. I just won't let myself go continuing to asking why this happened. Why did it have to be this way? You can't work it out. I mean, it's something you can't fathom too easily. So I'll leave it at that and go on and see what the end's going to be.
A lot of tragedy has occurred in your life recently, the death of two sons.
Right.
How do you cope with tragedy? I think this is a tremendous lesson. I think you're a tremendous, testimonial to the fact that people have to live through tragedy and come up with some ways of coping with it.
Yeah.
How have you done that?
I guess my wife and I both are people of strong faith, and we feel these things must come, and they come to man, not only to our family, but to other families. And of all of the years we have been Christian and religious people and talking about faith and all of this, now it comes ours to live this, not only talk it, but live it in sermons that people can see every day. So we accept it. Now, not at all do we accept this saying it doesn't hurt, that we don't feel it, that we aren't concerned. I often state, and I mean this, my head is bloody, but unbowed. I'm not going to let these things or anything get me down. I'm determined to go on. with what God has left for me to do, and believing that He will provide and that He will see us through somehow. And just to sit down somewhere and pine away and cry yourself to death ain't going to bring any of these people back. You're still going to have this with you. And I don't accept this as being a cross either. These things are sent to man.
That's amazing to hear you say. I would think people would say, what a cross that man has to bear.
No. This is sent to man. If you were not a Christian, if you were not a church person, these things, death comes to all of us. They're sent to us. But now, a far different thing is whether or not one takes up his responsibility of his own volition. So I choose there to take up my cross and bear it and go on uncomplaining. And I do. I don't complain about these things. I'm not going to talk about the death of my sons every time I'm delivering a message. Got to go back and bring this up. I don't. I just go on and let that take care of itself, and it will ultimately.
Atlanta, what do you think is the greatest counsel, the most important counsel that you passed on to your son?
That's hard to say. My son's always said, and I always accepted this in humility, deep humility, that as a father, I was their ideal as a preacher. And they saw in me all that encountered a committed, devoted preacher. And they had explicit confidence in it. Now, in me, I don't know. The best I think I could say there, that we tried desperately to walk before them and teach them the right way as we saw right. It might not always been right, but we thought we were. So I taught my children love. And I tried to live that. I loved their mother. I loved them. And I loved people around us. And this is the way they thought. Well, they thought that always. It was a kind of God-sent, committed idea coming from their daddy and mother. And this is the way we lived. And people.
But not every man that's in a situation where he's feeling prejudice is willing to become the kind of leader and prophet and spokesman that Martin Luther King Jr. became. What do you think pushed him into that prominence, into that position?
Well, it might have been he was born in love, as I keep on stating. You see, I don't know what it is to be bitter. I'm just not going to be bitter. I'm not bitter. I carry no ill will or hate in my heart against any man. Never have, I never will. And I think I know why I feel this way. Now, I could have been a person who just hated everybody, and especially whites. For instance, when I was a smaller boy, I saw so many mistreatments to blacks, and even to myself, how I was treated, that I said, when I get to be a man, I'm going to hate every white face I ever saw. And my mother kept telling me this is wrong and teaching me not to do this. So finally, I began to take a look at it. And now I know why that I do not hate anybody now. I know how I feel by every man. You don't get rid of what someone does to you by hating him. You don't get it of that. You get the worst of it. The individual gets much worse than that he's given out. So that I'm not going to hate. Martin Luther King wouldn't have hated about it. They beat him and drug him, twisted his arm, almost broke him. Martin Luther King wouldn't have hated about it. They beat him and drug him, twisted his arm, almost broke him.
And maybe it's wrong to do this at this point, but it's the death of your son, a death that we all regret. What about in terms of your son and his life and his death? Many people say that his death occurred had it not been for his death. How do you see that?
Well, this is hard to say. Twisted his arm, almost broke him.
Even the persons who killed your son.
I don't hate him. Oh, no. I don't hate him. Oh, no. I don't have bitter ill will. No kind of ill will in my heart against him.
How does a man live like that?
Well, to me it's easy. I don't know how every other man sees it. It's no problem for me to go on and learn about it because I know this is not the end.
That's great to hear. And we've got just a moment left. And what kind of hope do you have for this country?
To achieve
I still hope.
In
I'm disturbed.
Your various fields of
awfully
endeavor.
Disturbed. Bothered disturbed.
You're
but
going
I
to be
hope
deciding
America's
as the
finally
days
going to come
and the years
to a
unfold
knees
what you will
repentance
do in life,
and supply,
what your life's
go
work
on
will
and
be.
accept every man as first-class
Once
citizen.
you discover
See that every man
what it
has a
will be,
right
set out to do it,
to live, a right
do
to
it
live where
well.
he wishes and to do what he has the ability to do.
Dr. King.
This has been Turning Point, hosted by Reverend Bill Turpey of the First Baptist Church in Hingham, Massachusetts. Our program was pre-recorded and brought to you in cooperation with the American Baptist Churches of Massachusetts and the Massachusetts Council of Churches.
Jesus was the leader in the way, for he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Now that gets all of it.
When I met Daddy King in Atlanta, I understood the real meaning of patriarch. He was a huge force in the community as a black minister.
Glory to God.
Very imposing.
Something wrong with your head.
And when you met him, you understood that you were dealing with the power.